Are there any questions? I mean, I know this class is really strong, and at the end of it, people are deeply inside themselves. But if you ask questions, as you all know, it often brings a whole different level to the class too. But if there are no questions, that's all right also. I mean, it's all just energy. We have to take it inside. We have to learn to conserve it, to live with it. Listen, I don't know who's talking there, but please, you have to mute yourself, okay? Does anyone have a question they would like to ask? I think it's a great blessing to be able to sit through these classes, to be able to share what I've learned with all of you. And I think that's an amazing gift. And it's a gift that I certainly treasure. And I hope that you all treasure. As soon as we take these things for granted, they really diminish. You know, I don't care how many classes there are. As soon as we start taking them for granted and just assuming the energy, the power, the depth of the class, you know, not for everybody, but for the person who does that, it really diminishes. These classes are a blessing. They're a great treasure. Something to me that was totally unexpected. And I'm just grateful to be involved here, to be doing this and to sharing what I've learned in my life with all of you. You know, it's amazing because it's a marriage, you know? It's a real marriage, this thing, because your presence demands that I have to go very deep inside myself. And that really is the relationship between a student and a teacher. Not for a teacher to lecture people, to know better than anybody else, but simply the presence of a student and a teacher in their lives demands that both of them have to go deeper in order to nurture that need inside that truly wants to have a spiritual life. And that to me is a very great thing. It's a very sacred thing. Certainly was sacred when I sat with my teacher, Rudy, and it's sacred today when we sit here and I'm sitting here with all of you. I'm not here, you understand, to lecture people and to tell them the right way to get to God and all that stuff that people do. It's a marriage. Each has to learn how to work deep enough to nurture the other.
It's 2
And the very
o'clock.
presence of people doing this kind of thing, it draws the energy of God. It draws the energy of spirit. Because the ultimate goal is to have a spiritual life. It's to be one with God, to, finally work our way through all the suffering and difficulties of life and become one with higher energy in the universe.
Stuart.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Could you talk about how things are placed in our path to grow?
Can I talk about what?
How things, situations, people are placed in our path so that we grow?
There's nothing to talk, it's karma. I mean, we all have people in our lives. We all have people that we have to learn to deal with every day. A lot of people make us upset, get us angry, they do stupid things. I mean, it's just the very nature of life. And they're all there for a singular purpose, to teach us how to go deeper inside ourselves. How to learn how to love in this life unconditionally, how to learn how to truly master oneself. And people are very wonderful because everybody is different. Every one of you is different. Every one of you brings different demands on me. And because of that, I have to grow to be able to deal with that kind of situation. And I love that. And why people come and how they come. And I mean, that's, how life works. I don't have an answer to that, but they do come. And they're always there. And they always represent opportunities for us to grow or opportunities for us to blow our lives, getting angry, upset, being, impatient with people, not having, the ability to let them be and live their lives. And I mean, this goes on in families, probably more than anywhere else. It goes on where people work, and why people come and do this. I mean, you have to have a conversation with God to find out that answer. But we're all sent this. We all have to learn from this. We all have to grow from this. And I think that's an important thing. Because who can understand the whys and the wherefores and all that stuff about life? I mean, it's so strange the way things happen until you begin to realize that they happen to teach us what we need to do to grow. And I've learned in my life is no matter what the situation, the only place I can get an answer to, no matter how difficult the situation is inside myself, is in my connection with higher energy in the universe. So that situation is forcing me to grow. It's forcing me to evolve inside myself and get to a much higher place. And sometimes, you come back with answers like, no, I really don't want these people in my life anymore. I've done what I can do. I've done my service in the situation. And I don't need people that are just doing nothing but trying to destroy the sacredness of what one's life is. So one can say, no, it's finished. Now, I can only tell you, you can't say no to your children and your parents. I don't care how difficult they are. We need to learn to love them unconditionally. But why these situations come, why people come, why we fall in love with somebody and it doesn't work out, and why we, I haven't an answer for that. All I know is that, everybody goes through this. Everybody has to deal with this. And the way I've found to deal with this is to use whatever the circumstances is, to go deep enough inside myself to connect with infinite energy and to get answers. So every person that you meet in life is teaching you how to get closer to God.
Stuart, I am outside now and I am so sorry because it's something noises, but my question is when it's happened, practically, how you do? It happened to me yesterday. I couldn't smile, I couldn't say anything. I just went home and I had to deal with that many hours. And after that, I could talk to her. But can you tell us how you do in practice?
Well, I just told you, and also mute yourself, okay? Because I don't, that noise is disturbing the class. I mean, I said it, that person, whoever and what they did it so that you, Flora, could learn about you. If you grew inside and you really opened in greater depth inside, you understand, you wouldn't get upset at the person. So the person was there to remind you that you got to do work on yourself. You have to grow, and in many ways, people like that are a blessing in our life because they truly remind us we haven't arrived yet. We have a lot of work to do on ourselves. And then if you don't do the work, it comes again and again and again and again. If you do the inner work, you get big enough to deal with it. You get big enough to just say, no, we don't need to go through this. So life reminds us all the time. And if we don't grow because of what we go through, it happens again and again and again until we finally learn the lesson. And how do you grow? I mean, I'm telling you, I have been put through so much garbage by people in my life. And I really mean this. Jealousy, all kinds of nonsense that people have put me through. And every time I have to go through that, and I still go through it, still happens in my life. I need to go deep enough inside myself to connect with higher energy. And it's just teaching me, Stuart, that I need to get stronger inside. I need to get more open, because if you don't get it, it just keeps coming back until you finally learn your lesson. Because the external world is not going to change. We live in a crazy place. It's a zoo, and it's not going to change. We have to change. The external world is just simply a reminder that we have to change. And then when we change, we see the world differently. And you can look at that person and you see them differently. And you learn how to deal with them differently. So in many ways, everything that happens to us is a crazy blessing if we use it properly. If we don't use it properly, it's a nightmare. It can be a nightmare. But if we use it to go deeper, to open more, to grow inside, it's a blessing. Somebody is reminding us we haven't arrived yet. And this happens all the time in jobs and families and whatever you do, your social, just go on Instagram or, I stopped doing that. I said, I have enough. I've gone past this nonsense. Instagram and Facebook and all the stuff that people write there. It's like, you could be upset the rest of your life just doing those two things. So what I'm saying is that everything is a crazy blessing, teaching us, God teaching us how to grow, how to get to a place where we don't get upset at the world, we let life be, we see the world differently, we have unconditional love inside us for our families, for the people closest to us. I mean, I talk about this almost in, please, Flora, stop moving, okay? You're disturbing the class. Please stop moving.
I want to ask another question. Because of that, I'm so sorry I did that. But it happens, and I was still, I couldn't talk, I couldn't smile. And my question is how to deal in the moment.
Just
You know,
explain
it was...
in the moment you say, okay, I can't deal with this. I got to grow.
Okay. And go home.
Huh?
And go home, or because I had to be
go
with
home,
her.
just walk away, go home. And in the moment you say, I cannot deal with this, but I need to grow. I need to get to be a bigger person. I can, please mute yourself, you know? I need to be a bigger person. And that's what that moment is reminding you. And you walk away. I can't deal with this. You don't have to get into a fight with the person, an argument. Say, okay, I cannot deal with this. I will leave. You go home, you go somewhere else. Then you sit down and you work on yourself. You come to meditation, you work on yourself in great depth so that you have the strength the next time this comes around. And I promise you, it's going to come around again. You have the strength to be able to deal with it. Or if the same person keeps bringing this to your life, you can finally say, I don't need this person in my life. Why do I have to live with this person? Why do I have to deal with a person like this? It's like dealing with vampires. You know, you don't need to have them in your life. You can say no and walk away. I mean, I had a cousin of mine, God bless him. I called him up to say hello and to see how he was. And he went on and on. He was making me crazy on the phone. And I couldn't get a word in edgewise. And he's screaming and yelling and his politics and what he believes and doesn't believe. I finally said, no, I don't need this in my life. I've gone past that kind of energy. And the only way I can deal with people like that is if they make the effort in themselves to change. That I cannot deal with them if they're going to just bring me craziness all the time. And I say, no, I don't need this in my life. I had this happen with 2 or 3 people in the last few months where I just said, no more, it's finished. And I don't need this in my life. I need what goes on in this meditation in my life. I need to have people around me that bring kindness and goodness and love, you know? And and if somebody comes with their insanity and they're not willing to change, I don't care if they're crazy when they come, but if they're not willing to change and make an effort to change, I'm just very happy to say, no, I don't need these people in my life. If they're willing to change, I don't care what they bring initially. They have me, and I would work with everything in my heart and soul to help them. But if they don't make the effort to change, I don't, it's just a drain on my energy. It's a drain on everybody's energy. And people live off of that energy. You understand? They're like vampires. They eat other people's energy by bringing this tension to them, you know? I mean, my cousin, that's what happened. I said, no, he's a cousin. It doesn't matter who he is. I don't need people doing that in my life because that's how they live. They drain other people's energies without ever making an effort to change inside themselves. And I'm not saying I wasn't that way. When I was younger, I was that way. I was very opinionated. I was very angry. It took years to change, to get to a place where I understood none of that was worth it. None of that all it did was give me a pain in my chest. And it finally changed. It changed. But it only changed because I did the inner work to connect with spirit, to connect with higher energy, and transform Stuart into somebody that I can live with. Does anyone else have a question? I hope this is clear, because we spend so much time blaming the world for our problems. And it's not the world. We need to grow. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, well, God bless you all. And once again, thank you for being here, and thank you for forcing me to work in this kind of depth. I need this also. God bless you all. And there'll be a class on Tuesday, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. And bless you. Have a wonderful evening or day, wherever you are.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Bless you all.
Bless you.
Thank you.